imagine being able to transform your physique in just 90 days. That would feel amazing, right?
Yes, I would like that very much.
Well, trust me when I tell you, it's 100% possible. I've helped hundreds of clients achieve this with my online coaching program, and I'm going to break down the exact steps you need to follow if you want to achieve results like these. I'm going to break this down into 3 key areas: nutrition, mindset, and fat loss and building muscle. Let's get straight into it. By the way, if you stick around until the end, I'll share with you my full week's training, but make sure you watch this full video first so you can get the most out of it. Nutrition. You've probably heard this 1,000,001 times before, but you need to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. But you don't want to just lose any old weight, you want to lose body fat and retain or build muscle. So I want you to follow a few guidelines. Firstly, you need to figure out your maintenance calories. This just means the amount of calories you need to consume to maintain and stay exactly the same body weight. I'll include a link in the description to our calorie calculator, so you can use that just by entering a few details to find out what your maintenance calories are. Our calorie calculator will give you your daily energy expenditure. This way you know exactly how many calories your maintenance calories are. If you eat exactly the same as you burn, then your weight will stay the same. Now you have your maintenance calories, you're going to need to work out what a deficit looks like for you. Now there are a number of ways you can do this. You can either go for an aggressive deficit, say 25 to 30% deficit, or you can take it a little bit easier and go for 10%. Once you've worked out your deficit, subtract that number from your maintenance, and that's your target. Do bear in mind this is just a hypothesis, a best guess if you like, so you can change it as you go along. So if you found that you've gone too aggressive with your calorie deficit and you're feeling low energy and a bit crap, you can just increase your calories a bit more as long as you're still in a deficit. Likewise, if you're feeling great and you want to speed things up a bit, you can increase that deficit. Okay, so now on to what to eat. Firstly, and most importantly, protein. I go on about this a lot, but it's for a good reason. Try and aim for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight if possible. Set that as your minimum target for the day and split that up into 3 or 4 meals and a snack. Now you have your minimum protein. The rest of your calories can be made up of a combination of carbs and fats, but you can play around with those numbers. If you've read somewhere you should avoid fruit because of all the sugars, ignore it. Fruit is fine, fruit is healthy. Of course, if you eat 4,000 calories of fruit, just like if you ate 4,000 calories of anything, you're gonna put on weight. But fruit itself is absolutely fine. So ignore Dr. Nonsense on Instagram and include it as part of your balanced nutrition. Now, if you are the type of person who wants to eat exactly the same amount of calories per day, that might work for you. For me, and for clients that we work with, doesn't tend to work for them. So instead, what we do is we break the total amount of weekly calories down into the week and split that across how we like. So for example, you could have 2 higher days of calories and over the rest of the 5 days bring it down accordingly to make sure your numbers add up. This means you don't have to miss out on things like social events, you don't have to stress about them, and you don't have to feel guilty about food. It's just how you fit it into your week. Also, these 4 meals types, which I pretty much have every single day to make it easier for myself: wraps, rice bowls, stir fries, and omelets. The reason I have these 4 food types are because they are really quick and easy to make and really easy as well to pack the protein in. Rice bowls in particular, definitely a game changer. Microwave rice, 2 minutes, and then you can throw whatever protein mix you want in there with whatever veg, and then just a bit of sauce in there. Done in 2 minutes, easy, and you can pack loads and loads of protein in it. We made a 5-day meal plan and it's been really popular, so I'm going to put that link in the description so you can get yourself a copy. So we've spoken about fat loss, now we're going to look at building muscle. Let's not overcomplicate this. Depending how aggressive you are with your calorie deficit, you have one of 2 goals. 1, build as much muscle as possible. Or for those on the extreme cut, number 2, maintain as much muscle as possible. But either way, you're going to need to be lifting weights. If you're in a big calorie deficit, you risk losing muscle. You need to counteract this by lifting often and lifting heavy. If you're in a smaller calorie deficit or not in a deficit at all and you're looking to build muscle, then you also need to be lifting often and you need to be lifting heavy. Side note, you will see a lot of people saying that you cannot build muscle in a calorie deficit, but this isn't true. If you're new into lifting and your nutrition hasn't been great to this point, it's entirely possible for you to build muscle in a calorie deficit. It's slower, which is why bodybuilders will go into the bulking and cutting phases. But if you're someone that hasn't been been lifting at high intensity for a long time, you can absolutely do both. Let's talk training splits. I typically won't put my clients on a bro training split. That's where you hit one muscle group, say chest on a Monday, back on a Tuesday, legs and shoulders on a Wednesday, and cycle through them. There are a couple of reasons why I don't do this with my clients. It means you generally only hit legs once per week. And as you know, you should never skip leg day, but these sessions can end up being the longest, especially when you do movements that require you to do one leg at a time, then the other leg. This can add on a lot of time. Also, if you are a beginner or intermediate lifter, then you might not have built up the endurance to allow you to make the most of these style of sessions. So they end up being filled with what we call junk volume, where you are completing the movements but there's no intensity in them. And that's not going to provide the stimulus we need for muscle growth. Instead, I prefer a workout split where you hit more than one muscle group per session. So this might be a few whole body sessions, or it could be upper lower rest, or you could look at push-pull legs. There are 3 key areas when it comes to building muscle. Number 1, intensity. What do I mean by that? You need to push to close to failure. It doesn't mean you have to fail every set, but you should be pushing right to the edge of nearly about to fail. Number 2, progressive overload. This means that you are lifting more weights or achieving more reps with the same weight as time goes on, and you can adapt. This keeps the intensity high and accounts for the strength that you are building. And then the third one, total training volume. So you're going to want to increase your total training volume over time. This happens as you adapt your training, as you recover more efficiently. So practically over the course of 90 days, this might look like starting off with 6 sets per muscle group in a week, moving up to 8 sets, and then even up to 10 sets per muscle group per week. Of course, this is just an example, as I don't know your training background and the volume you're coming in at. And remember, if you stick to the end, I'll take you for a full week of my own training. Okay, so we've chatted about nutrition, fat loss, and building muscle. Now we're on to a key one, mindset. This is an area that can often be overlooked when looking to transform your physique, but it's such an important one. You can have the best training plan, nutrition plan in the whole world, but if you can't be consistent with it, you might as well throw it away. Our successful clients all have one thing in common. They know exactly what they want to achieve. They are laser focused on the result. Before we sign up a client, we always have a very good chat in depth to find out more about their goals so we know how to motivate them. And for that, you need a target. So take a few minutes to consider. A, what do you want to achieve in the next 90 days? And then next, you're going to want to set yourself some ground rules. So have a think about this. What are you willing to do to achieve this? Then ask yourself, what are you not willing to do to achieve this? For example, would you be willing to give up alcohol? It's fine if you don't, by the way. Would you be willing to give up chocolate? And if the answer is no, that's also fine. You just need to set yourself some boundaries so you've got some wiggle room. Then it's realistic and you won't get annoyed with yourself by having the occasional drink or treat. If you don't want to set any boundaries and are willing to throw yourself 100% into the next 90 days, then that also works as well. There is no best strategy. The only strategy that's going to work is one that you're going to enjoy and you're going to stick to, which is why it is so important to be realistic with your expectations and what you are willing to commit and what you won't, because otherwise we get stuck into this all or nothing mentality. If we think, yeah, I'm going to give everything up, then we break it and have one thing, we give up, we start again, and actually end up setting ourselves back. So far better to be realistic and include the foods that you enjoy if you don't think you're going to be able to do it without them. Okay, so I promised to share a full week of training, and I'm actually going to share my own training split. I don't do a traditional weekly split. I have 4 weight sessions that I do on a rotation, day on, day off. So this takes 8 days. This means if I ever do miss a session, I do a lot of commentary work, I do a lot of travel, things come up, it means I never miss a whole muscle group like I would do if I was doing a bro split. If I'm feeling good, then sometimes I'll add cardio in on my rest days, but that will be at a light intensity, and I will always prioritize recovery first, so that I can go full intensity in my lifting sessions. I'll leave my 4 full workouts on the screen now, so you can pause and you can screenshot it to look over later. I hope you found that useful. If so, consider hitting like, consider subscribing, and let me know in the comments what you thought of this video and your take homes from it. Thanks for watching.